Great. Hi, my name is Barbara Ann Sharon. I'm the Chief Learning Officer of Training Edge. And with me here is Fred Blackburn. He's the principal of Discover Evolutions Consulting. And also, I've had the pleasure of working with him as well. Fred is a certified master life coach providing leadership, life, and transitional coaching through his own business, Discover Evolutions Consulting LLC. Now, Fred has mentored and trained military intelligence professionals in more than a dozen countries, routinely providing guidance and advice to some of the most senior leaders on the national intelligence level. And there's a lot more to learn about Fred, so please feel free to check him out on LinkedIn. But Fred, what I'd like to do is chat with you a little bit about servant leadership. When I think about when those two first words came together. It was years ago. And my understanding was it was kind of a style of leadership where you prioritize the needs of others and you focus their growth on not only themselves, but how they inspire the team around them. And I
Yes.
think it's very different than traditional leadership, where, in traditional leadership, the leader's main focus is the success of an organization. So help me to understand not only what servant leadership is, but why is that so important to kind of emulate as we kind of work day to day now?
Oh, sure. So, and it's funny to me when we talk about the separation of servant leadership and traditional leadership, especially coming out of the military. Because if you think about traditional leadership, then you'll say, oh, well, the military really is a prime example of that, where, the leader, the mission. But I think unless you've experienced it, in the military, we used to have the four C's: courage, commitment, candor, and courage to describe a leader. But what I've done in my study of servant leadership, there are three C's: competence, character, compassion, which
Wow.
are very related. So it's not really that different. And so I actually don't see a conflict of traditional leadership and servant leadership, because in a servant leadership role where you're really focusing on your people, you're taking care of your people so that they are able to do the best that they can in the mission, in the job, in whatever task that they have. And if they're able to not worry about anything else, if I have a roadblock, I can go to my leader and he can provide me some guidance and or how to remove the roadblock myself or assist me with removing that roadblock, then I can continue to do my best work.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing my best work and all my peers are doing my best work, that just raises the level of the whole organization.
Yeah.
Servant leaders, they are definitely about challenging individuals. They are definitely about displaying their values at work, being their authentic self. I think, um, especially in today's environment, people might be a little bit afraid to be themselves, to be their authentic self in the office. Um, I don't know any other way to be.
Yeah.
You show up, you get Fred all day. You get the same Fred yesterday and tomorrow, and the same one that's at home also, because my values come with me. Who I am comes with me to the office space, and I enjoy as a performing as a servant leader. That's just the best thing. Making other people comfortable enough to be themselves and find a way to enjoy what they're doing at their office space.
Yeah, I love that. I love the way you described about bringing your full self to work or bringing your full self in that leadership role. Let's say, that servant leaders can say thank you for just the
Oh
other person
yes,
that they're working with, right? Or they can apologize for when a staff member is concerned or upset about something. And it's about not feeling like you've got to be different than you are outside of work. You can bring those same beautiful qualities into work as well. And it's something that,
yes.
I've seen and I've experienced myself, not only from you, but also from other people that really believe in good servant leadership. So that's really amazing.
Oh yes. And I don't think I could harp on authenticity enough as a servant leader, because people will see when you're just kind of going through the motions, right? And leadership, like any other skill, it's learned, and you can learn to do better at it, and you can learn to be better leaders, especially
Yeah.
in the realm of servant leadership.
Yeah.
So just being authentic, understanding that um, you don't have to be perfect, because nobody is expecting you to be perfect. the people that work for you know you're a human being, and you need to be a human being in the office space.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I find that to be so interesting because even when I said, where did you learn your leadership skills? We go back to our little kind of file and say, I had a
Yeah.
number of really great leaders. And maybe I had a leader that wasn't perfect or whatever, but I still learned just as much of that
Oh,
person,
yes.
that wasn't working well to say what I didn't want to do when I was a leader or in my leadership role capacity. And so I think we've got an opportunity to learn from everyone that we work with and everyone that we meet from that perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
That, you know, great examples and not so great examples is probably the best way to put it in terms of describing your leaders. Because everyone that you've worked for, everyone that's been a leader in your career has shaped who you are as a leader, whether that's in a very good way or a not so good way.
Yeah. That word like vulnerability comes to mind when I think about servant
Mhm.
leadership. It's about the willingness to be vulnerable sometimes and to admit when you've made a mistake or to admit when you don't know how to do something. I think a lot of times these leaders will put on this perfection that, I know everything and everything's going to be perfect. But what they fail to realize is that, people are watching them all the time, whether they want them to or
Yes.
not. And we are setting an example of whether or not people want to follow us and really making those decisions around that. So,
Oh yes, I love that being vulnerable, and again, that's to that authentic self, bringing your whole self to work,
yeah.
uh, having your reports understand that no, I'm not a perfect person, but I'm going to represent you to the leadership the best way I can, and I'm going to represent the leadership to you the best way I can, so that when those tough times come, when there's we have to lead through tough economic conditions, or we have to lead through major changes, that trust has already been built. I don't have to guess at what's going on. My
Yeah.
reports don't have to guess at what's going on because we've already established that trust that I'm going to be authentic with them and they can be their authentic self with me.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you, Fred. I always love talking to you. Your expertise is beyond perfection. It's just, I
Thank
learn so
you.
much from you every time I talk with you, and I really appreciate your vulnerability and your willingness to talk about great leadership. So thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you so very much, Barbara.
All right, thanks.